What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America's Dummies. That would be us. I am Kyle McClure. Join with me, as always, Mr. Lone Wolf.
The Lone Wolf.
And if you can't tell, we have better clarity now for you. So now you get to see our beautiful faces much better.
My grace, the salt and pepper.
Yeah, and a little thinning at the top.
Oh, yeah. Going bald.
But, so we just recently got a computer. Camera that has much better quality than the one we were using before. So, ironically, we had to get an actual camera, not a video camera. I don't know how to say the distinction other than camera versus video camera. But the video camera we had didn't just the quality of, I guess the megapixels. Honestly, the megapixels on my phone are much better, higher megapixels than the camera that we're using. So, note to self: whenever you buy a camera, don't buy one like in terms of for videos. Don't buy one that was made from a company that focuses on audio equipment. You know, you may not get the best quality. So. Sorry, I'm hearing somebody whistling in the hallway right now. I don't think y'all will be able to hear it, but anyways, we got quite a show for you today because the police state is here in America, the reign of American tyranny. So we can all relish in that fact. It's something we've all wanted. Sarcasm, if you couldn't tell, because as you know. Obviously, this video isn't coming like within days of the announcement of Trump's indictment and arraignment for the classified documents issue. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to be the first on the scene and give you, we want to be able to do our due diligence and do our research before we come at you with any of this kind of stuff. But the reason why we want to talk about this today is just because it's extremely important for everybody to understand that this is not okay. This is not a good direction for our country to go down in terms of having people who are currently in positions of power in our government attacking political candidates, former presidents. And by the way, they're accusing Donald Trump of the things that they do themselves. And they meaning Democrats, they meaning bureaucrats in power that are not answerable to the American people. They're answerable to the people that put them in position.
Yeah, ultimately using the Department of Justice to further their agenda for their gain.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's not what it's meant for.
There's a lot to talk about. I know a lot of you will be like, well, why does this matter to me? Easy. They go after Trump because he's in the way of them going after you. That's what it is. Trump has even stated that himself. It's like if they could go after you, they would. But right now they're going after Trump because he's the most immediate threat. And he is the threat to the deep state. He is a threat to the bureaucrats in power, like Lisa Monaco, the number 2 at the DOJ, which some say is the queen of the deep state. Because of all her ties from the Obama administration, the ties to Biden, including Hunter Biden, who recently got pleaded guilty to tax evasion and something in regards to lying on the FFL, which you fill out to get a gun.
Yep.
And but probation, no jail time. Even though people do the same exact thing and get 5 to 10 years minimum for just the gun issue.
So the gun issue
that's not even something I planned on. That came out yesterday.
The news just came out yesterday. So when we were doing our research, obviously that wasn't out.
Yeah.
The tax evasion, those are misdemeanors. The gun one is a felony.
Mm-hmm.
Usually people get charged with that and they do jail time, but he's a Biden, so
Yeah, and the funny thing is the day before that announcement came. Lisa Monaco, the number 2 of the DOJ, was meeting with Joe Biden. So the day before they came out with the official charges. Anyways, there's a lot to get into today, but you need to care about it because it affects our ability to ensure a free country, because if the laws aren't applied equally to everyone in this country, regardless of status, regardless of power, then you're not in a free country. It's just not true. And every generation, like Ronald Reagan said, every generation needs to fight for freedom. It's a generational fight. Every single time. So, but before we get started on that, don't forget to click the like and subscribe buttons and turn on those notification bells. So that way you never miss a new episode of America's Dummies. And as always, remember, we're just two guys on the internet talking about our opinions.
Yep.
And yes, we do have facts to back them up, but for the most part, they are just our opinions. So take them for what they're worth. There's a lot to be said about a lot of things, but the most important is making sure that we fight to ensure a free and just America. And right now, we are losing that. But tides are turning, and it also doesn't look like Trump will probably get, I guess, what would be the correct term? I'm trying to convicted. There we go. Convicted. I don't think he'll get convicted, but that's just my opinion. So I don't actually know. I'm not a legal scholar or anything of the such. But I will say this. If you think that they're going after Trump because he actually committed something, a actual felony, if he committed things that, if he did things that are...
the sole reason...
the best way to say it.
Like, the sole reason this is happening is because Trump is a threat to their election next year.
That's true. So it's as Trump said, election interference at its highest level.
Because the Hunter Biden thing, that investigation's been going for 5 years. When did you hear about that? Like, when was the last time you heard about it on the news or anything?
Only if you listen to conservative leaning outlets.
Yeah, there you go.
Literally.
So the mainstream media doesn't push it, but they push Trump all the time.
I mean, hell, we were talking about the Russian collusion hoax that they were talking about, where Trump was basically a Russian asset, which he's not. And the Mueller, I think, is the Mueller report actually proved that it was actually people working with the Hillary Clinton campaign and working with the Biden or Obama administration to subvert Trump. Trying to subvert the election, trying to keep Trump from taking power, and spying on his campaign.
Just trying to steer voters away from Trump. Yeah. And, we find out that was all fabricated. Yeah. It's all lies. Yeah. But still, he won the election, and they're trying it again.
How many times did they report in 22 months about Trump in Russia? Do you remember?
1,840 articles a day.
Yeah, I don't remember that math, but I do know it's like, 533,000 articles over 22 months in regards to Trump and Russia collusion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, seriously, you can't find a better time, you can't find a better way to spend your time reporting to people, especially considering the fact that a lot of that stuff was not, they're reporting on air quotes facts, which actually were unsubstantiated.
Yeah, and then, what's sad is that, like, the mainstream media runs with it, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're in their pocket somewhere. It's telling them what to do. And, for people out there that watch TV and, the news come on and that kind of stuff, they're lying to you 80% of the time.
Probably. Yeah. It's very hard to find real information.
It's like that,
especially with all the bias. It's important to know that whenever you listen or read to news in any way, shape, or form, to understand that they're all going to have a certain level of bias.
Yep.
Right. That's extremely important, because you're able to go in with your eyes open, and you can also pay attention to how they word things. How they word things is incredibly important, especially because you can see what their agenda is. You can see what their plan of attack is. Are they interested in giving you a lot of opinion? Or are they interested in giving you a lot of facts? Are they interested in trying to color someone's character a certain way to impact your perspective about them? So it's extremely important. And we got a video that was taken before. It was after, obviously, Joe Biden was already in office, and it was before Trump officially declared his candidacy for president for 2024. Here's a video that you can watch that just goes to show exactly how corrupt this president is and how corrupt our DOJ is and what they're doing to go at Trump. So go ahead and check this little clip we found on TikTok.
The former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States?
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president.
I mean, seriously, they're saying it in plain daylight. It's like,
and he didn't say, because campaigning, obviously it's a competition, right? To gain voters, but he didn't say, under legitimate efforts through our campaigning and all that. And he said Constitution.
Yeah, Constitution. So, in order to make sure that someone doesn't run for president through the Constitution and bringing things up, what does that mean? It means federally charging them with crimes to make sure that they can't take office, make sure people won't vote for them. I mean, that is election interference at its highest level, and there's no doubt about that. And I mean, okay, so let's give y'all some background, though, as to exactly what is going on with the charges, right? So, I guess it was in 2021 when there's a whole, everybody should know by now about the whole issue with Donald Trump and the classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate, right? So those were found. He was working with the National Archives to figure out, which documents he gives back, because they wanted all the documents back, and etc. And so after some time, the FBI raided his house for documents while he was working with in National Archives to hand over certain documents that they wanted. I don't know if it was all of them or certain ones, because they're also told that
it's fine.
There's people working on an apartment across from me, so there's a bunch of banging outside. Sorry. But essentially, he is being charged with 7 felony counts. So there's seven charges with about 31 total counts or so. My numbers may be a little off on that one.
37. But
yeah, I was thinking, so 7 federal charges with about 37 felony counts.
37 counts, yeah.
But they're basically saying that the documents Trump had, he had no right to have them. They were classified, and they all had classified markings, which, by the way, just because they have classified markings doesn't mean they're classified. The president has, in his full power, the ability to declassify whatever he wants without going through a formal process like every other federal government or every other government employee does who tries to declassify information. And that is held into place by court rulings, by legal precedents, and by executive orders put into place by George W. Bush and Barack Obama. So he has the ability to declassify whatever he wants at his sole discretion. And they're trying to charge him with even the Espionage Act and basically his intent, I guess, to disseminate classified information to other people and to foreign adversaries. As if Donald Trump is literally trying to take classified nuclear secrets and give them to our enemies. That's essentially what they're trying to get at. But they have no proof. And the best thing they have is an audio tape of Trump saying, I could declassify this when I was president. Now I can't declassify it. But that's audio. We don't know if he was waving the paper around. We don't know if he's showing somebody a paper that was classified. We don't know anything. There's no video evidence, just audio. So now they have to prove without a reasonable doubt that he had classified documents that he was showing people who were not legally able to, who do not have the clearance. And so there's a lot to it. And we're not going to get down into everything because I know most people get turned off with going into the fine details of things like this. They just just more concerned with. We understand you're more concerned with why is he being charged with classified documents, especially when we know Joe Biden has over like 1,800 boxes that they found of classified documents.
I was going to say too,
documents itself. Hillary Clinton in the emails.
Yeah, if you don't think that they're using the DOJ to interfere in next year's election by, keeping Trump from running, why isn't it the same attention being given to Biden's documents, to Hillary, to Obama's? Biden's have documents since he was in the Senate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're not in a locked
they're at his
room
house, just
with Secret Service.
It's like
Trump's was.
If you're going to do it for Trump, then I think the DOJ should also do it for all of them, because they all have it. Yeah. They all have documents.
And that's the thing; they're all protected by legal precedents. Because there was a case in 2012 tried by a federal judge that basically said there's a case about video recordings, audio recordings in President Clinton's sock drawer, essentially. And so once they're leaving office, they have the ability to take whatever material they want. As soon as they take the material and they classify it as personal material, then it essentially becomes theirs, and they can do whatever they want with it and declassify it, and they've declassified it essentially. And so that legal precedence, it's based on the Presidential Records Act, which also means the National Archives cannot seize records of a former president, and the ability to segregate materials is made by the president during the president's term and at their sole discretion. Well, if the archives want to challenge that, the archives want to try and get certain materials, they have to bring a case against the person in question. So this case would be Trump, but it's a civil case. Right now, it's supposed to be a civil case. But so what the National Archives did is they got the Department of Justice, the FBI involved, and the FBI did a search warrant, and now they're bringing criminal charges against Donald Trump.
But they should be civil.
Basically, it should be civil. And all of this stuff, the same day that all the information in regards to Trump and his indictment coming down the pipe and the arraignment and federal charges against Trump, do you find it any coincidence what happened on the exact same day that those charges came? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, the things that happened, it's ridiculous. But the same day that the federal charges or the indictment was announced for Donald Trump, the same exact day, there were allegations that we have known about since 2020, since summer of 2020, before the election. We have known about this, but it just came to light about an FBI source, a credible one at that matter. They told the FBI about a $5 million bribe given to both Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Okay, so Joe Biden, according to this source, according to the information that the FBI has, and Joe Biden took $5 million as a vice president from a executive at the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, which his son Hunter Biden was on the board and had no experience in energy whatsoever. None. So he was extremely unqualified to sit on this board and get paid 7 figures a year. But Joe Biden was given $5 million bribe to get Viktor Shokin, a prosecutor for Ukraine, looking into the business dealings of Ukraine, the Burisma. So Joe Biden was paid $5 million from a foreign company to get basically to get one of their prosecutors fired to keep them from looking into the business dealings.
Yeah.
Okay. As a president, and to influence U.S. policy.
And that's on video too.
That's corruption. It's corruption. at its highest. I don't understand how we can ignore that, and how the media research, I think it was Media Research Center, did some looking into this. On June 8th and the 4 following days, the 3 major networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, they devoted nearly 5 hours of coverage towards the Trump indictment, but they did not cover the bribery story at all. At all. And in fact, the conservative outlets that did faced DDoS attacks on their sites, which make it hard for them. It's basically a cyber, air quotes, cyber attack against these conservative outlets that reported on the stories, including Dan Bongino's.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all over the place. Like, the evidence is there.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And people, sadly, nowadays believe it. They use the media to brainwash you, pretty much.
Yeah. And this is how you take power. You use federal government resources and bureaucratic resources, and you use the federal government. Let's see, the
only difference from like communism, like a communist country, and what they're doing right now, is that it's a group. It's an entity of people that are basically controlling their stay in power, not just one person, like a communist would.
Yeah,
and
they're working more for, like, that's what they call the deep state. They're working more for an ideology rather than certain people staying in power, because they know eventually that'll end. Like, they can't have the president be in there for more than 8 years. So they have to. It's the certain ideologies. It's Democrats and protecting those that are not elected officials. In a lot of cases, elected officials, including one that arguably they're trying to protect Obama, not Biden.
Mm-hmm.
But they're using the FBI, they're using the DOJ to attack a political candidate and former president. Okay, political candidate and former president, to keep them from taking power, and to keep those who are currently in power, right? That's what they're doing. So they're literally using the federal government as a police state. I mean, they're attacking their rivals. There we go. That's a good word. They're attacking their rivals, the people who are a threat to them. And if you doubt, and by the way, the thing that the government tried to impeach Trump over was a phone call that was a quid pro quo, right? The Senate adjudicated that. They're like, no, the impeachment doesn't stand, right? Yeah. We're not going to impeach him. The House, and of course, when they did it, it was all along party lines. So every Democrat did it because they hate Donald Trump. Yeah. They hate him. I don't understand how or why you can have so much hate for one person, but they do. And they tried to impeach Trump for what Joe Biden did as vice president, right? They tried to impeach him for the exact same thing, even though Donald Trump calls it a perfect phone call. But they tried to impeach him for that phone call that he made to the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, I believe it was at the time, and to look into the business dealings of Burisma and Joe Biden, right? And I don't know the details of that phone call. Honestly, it doesn't really matter because there was nothing wrong with the phone call, and there was no reason for him to be impeached. But we will show you why that was such a big deal, because there is proof of Joe Biden actually committing a quid pro quo with the Ukrainian government to get Viktor Shokin fired from Burisma at the exact same time when he was getting that $5 million bribe, according to the confidential human source that the FBI has. So check out this video real quick and you'll see what we mean.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time. Well, there's still...
All right, so if that's not proof that Joe Biden is corrupt, I mean, that's two clips now of Joe Biden admitting to... One is something that's a quid pro quo that should have him impeached and shouldn't have even had him elected because he's corrupt. He had a... Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. At least you do.
I mean, right there, if that doesn't say anything to y'all, then I don't know what does. But, yeah, like at the same time, what's her name? Olivia Dalton? On the Hill, she, don't remember exactly what question she was asked, but she stated, this is a president who respects the rule of law. And he says that since day one.
Hold on, she's referring to who?
To Biden. And that's precisely, he believes in respecting the independence of the DOJ and protecting the integrity of their processes. With the little research we have done on this, that statement's false.
Yeah.
Big time. And
they're using the bureaucratic institutions to go after Trump.
Yeah, and the hypocrisy is huge, bro. Like, it's crazy. It's get them out of there. Like, get out of there. Like, you got to be kidding.
I mean, if okay,
it's election interference, like Trump said. No matter what you say, that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're not going to stop until.
No, they're not going to stop until he's no longer a threat. And that's what some people like Dan Bongino is afraid of, is the fact that Donald Trump's life may be in danger. He's afraid that Donald Trump's life may be in danger. And I know you said something about
so in The Simpsons, he gets assassinated, right?
And for those of you who don't know, The Simpsons have had a history of being able to and predict certain things coming true, like for instance Donald Trump becoming president.
Yeah, conspiracy theory. So and it was on that episode where he gets assassinated. It had to do with presidential and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So if they can't do it like this, where do you think it's gonna go?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. It's crazy because they're trying to make sure he can't take office, because if he does, they know that they're screwed. They know that the deep state's screwed. They know that the FBI is probably going to get gutted. The people who are in the top reigns of the DOJ and the FBI are all going to be fired, canned, and then replaced. And for instance, I'm not a fan of using the DOJ and the FBI to go after political candidates, obviously. I'm also not a fan if they're going after Trump like this when he's a former president. I'm not sure we should be doing that with Barack Obama or with Joe Biden unless we have hard evidence, which with Joe Biden we have hard evidence that he is corrupt, that he has committed crimes.
If a crime is committed, the DOJ, the FBI, they should investigate just like they do any other person.
Yeah.
And present the charges in a court of law and, prosecute that person. But on their own accord, according to their standards, their oaths, and, their regulations and the law.
Yeah.
Don't do it just because you don't want him to run for presidency next year.
Yeah. And I do think that I think Joe Biden's done. I think Joe Biden is done. I don't think he's going to win 2024. I'm not even sure he's going to last it to the primary for the Democratic Party. I mean, you might have RFK Jr. win. You might have Governor Gavin Newsom of California jump into the race, and he might get a lot of support. But I think that Joe Biden is done, and there's a big possibility he may just back out of the race. I really hope that does. But right now, I think people are like, if Donald Trump survives this and if people still vote for Donald Trump, which, by the way, when he got indicted and when the news came out and when he had the arraignment, his poll numbers skyrocketed. I mean, DeSantis isn't gonna get the nomination, and Joe Biden is losing in head-to-head in poll numbers. Which, by the way, poll numbers are obviously going to be skewed towards the Democrats.
That's what I was going to say.
And
like,
so,
pay attention, and you know, I know you said towards the Democrats, but I think these polls they're fabricated. Like
fabricated?
Yeah, like.
Well,
a lot of these polls are probably not true, 100%. You have to dive deep into numbers, and you know, like you look up polls right now, right? Pull up the first article you see. That first graph there, people believe that because that's what they see. And to me, like, you got to dive deeper into the numbers.
Unfortunately, we don't do that. A lot of people just look at the snapshot of things. Like, most people probably won't even get this far into our video.
Yeah. So
that's the unfortunate part about it.
Yeah. Do your research. Like, a lot of the stuff they put in front of your face is just psychologically, like,
it's just to mess with your head.
To get you, yeah. It's like,
I mean, this whole thing is just it's a headache, and I guarantee you most Americans probably don't give a shit about the classified documents, about Donald Trump having classified documents. I mean, yeah, we don't want him to have actual classified documents that he has not declassified, right? We don't want him to have that because we don't want them to get in the wrong hands. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you guys got the documents back. Now what? What about Mike Pence? He had classified documents, but you've already said you're not going to bring charges against him. Hillary Clinton had... We all know Hillary Clinton actually had classified material on a private server and private email that she was sending over, and was more than likely accessed by foreign adversaries. Classified documents, it says. This is someone who's not able to declassify. This is not someone who's able to do that. Not able to share classified information like that. And she used a program called BleachBit to erase all that information from these servers.
As soon as
they're not going to charge her with anything?
As soon as that started getting investigated, the emails disappeared. Like, you know.
Okay,
but she's not covering nothing up.
Joe Biden, if you really want to know a lot deeper into this, I do highly recommend checking out Dan Bongino and his coverage of this, because he's been following this for years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous how crazy and how deep this goes. That's why it's like this video is just very tip of the iceberg level, because there's way more information in there that even you would want to pay attention to. All right, this is not something that you're going to go deep into studying and deep into researching, because you've got everyday lives. Just like if we have everyday lives, if we had the time to go further into this, we probably would.
Yeah.
But right now, it's people need to understand that this is literally Joe Biden is using the DOJ to attack a political candidate and cover up for his nefarious business dealings and his corruption that he has done while he was a vice president of the United States. And now he is the president of the United States. And I think it's funny how everything in regards to Trump will leak. And there's going to be this Steele dossier that is alleging Trump with this Russian collusion hoax that is leaked, that is brought out into the light before he was officially elected.
Yeah.
But this form from the FBI was alleging the bribe was created in June or July of 2020, before the election. But yet no one knew about it until 3 years later.
Well, yeah, because they didn't want to interfere with their election.
Exactly. So it's like, you guys seriously telling me that there's no interference from the federal government? You want to tell me that Trump is actually guilty of this and Joe Biden is innocent. I mean, seriously, does anybody actually believe this shit?
Sad part is they do.
But the thing is, it's all one-sided. I don't even think the independents believe this shit. The independents are what determine election these days.
That's crazy. They're nuts, man. They
are
nuts.
Ridiculous. I mean, so we got and here's also someone who's talking on, who is a representative of she's a Democratic representative of the Virginian, or is it Virgin Islands?
Virgin Islands.
I think it's Virgin Islands. She was talking on a...
is it Virgin Islands or Bahamas?
I think it's Virgin Islands, but she was on a news program, MSNBC, and she was talking about the special counsel seeking a speedy trial in Trump's legal case for the documents, and she said Donald Trump should be shot, but then she had to quickly correct herself to saying stopped. So check this out.
Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it in his resort with anyone and everyone who comes through should be terrifying to all Americans, and he needs to be stopped. Of course, he's going to have his day in court. Let's remember that he was indicted by his peers, individual Americans who live in South Florida, a red state. They saw it enough that there was probable cause for him to bring this indictment and for him to stand trial.
Well,
she forgot
Freudian slip there much?
Yeah, that's your mind speaking right there.
Yeah, no shit.
But she's saying that
I can't believe these people. They're
saying
it out loud. People, pay attention.
She's saying that he got indicted by his peers in South Florida. Blah blah. After the indictment happened and Trump left court, he went to Versailles. It's a restaurant, a popular restaurant, Little Havana.
Are you familiar with it?
I haven't been there, but I know the place. Yeah. So everybody was there. He had a lot of support there. He did a dinner after that to fundraise, and it was like $2 million
in one night.
Already at like over $6 million. I think I read the other day.
Yeah.
So they're telling you lies. They don't want him in. She wants him dead. And we're supposed to sit here and believe all this crap. Like, just ridiculous. Using our own system, the system that protects us and keeps us safe for their gain.
Yeah, they're trying to protect themselves.
Yeah,
and they're attacking anybody who they perceive to be a threat.
Yeah.
And here's we're gonna play one last video for you.
And don't forget, like, the population is not a threat yet, right? But when we do become a threat, they're gonna do the same thing, and that's what Trump was trying to say about they're coming for me because I stand in the middle of the people.
I stand in the way between them and you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if they had the ability to, they would come after us. And that's why they want a gun registration. That's why they want to do bans on weapons, so that way we can't protect ourselves. So that way they can enforce totalitarian communist rule.
Taking
that's
steps.
What they want. It's a tyranny.
To population control.
Yeah, the reign of American tyranny. That's what it is. But we're going to play one more video of you about that's between Senator Ted Cruz and I think the Deputy Director of the FBI. So this one's a pretty good exchange. It's a little sad, and it's just like, if you don't, again, it's right there, plain daylight. You can see it and you can hear it for yourself that this is not a unbiased criminal investigative bureaucracy that is hell-bent on upholding the rule of law. They're more interested in taking it, and they're interested in trying to find crimes or take a person, charge them with crimes that aren't there. I mean, this
for political reasons.
It's all for political reasons. Political reasons. Power, money, greed. I mean, just you'll see what I mean. But check out this video of Senator Ted Cruz and the Deputy Director of the FBI in regards to the allegations of Biden taking $5 million bribe from Ukraine.
A whistleblower brought to light the existence in the FBI of a report, an FD 1023, in which the informant alleges that President Biden and his family members engaged in a $5 million bribery scheme during his time as vice president. Deputy Director Abate, is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator.
And why is that?
I'm just not going to comment on information we received, investigations, or
Do you owe an
ongoing matters.
obligation to the American people to be candid about evidence of corruption by the President of the United States?
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up serious allegations of evidence of corruption from the president. Yesterday, Senator Chuck Grassley stood on the Senate floor and alleged that there are 17 recordings of this informant from Burisma, Ukrainian natural gas company. 15 of them are recordings, voice recordings of him talking to Hunter Biden. 2 of them are voice recordings of him talking to Joe Biden. Deputy Director Abate, does the FBI have 17 voice recordings laying out evidence of a bribery scheme?
Senator, I would add also that we've worked with the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah, this is the Senate. We're the other side of the Capitol. This is the Senate. Do you have those 17 recordings?
I'm not going to comment on any investigative matters, Senator.
See, that's the problem. The FBI, and I've had this conversation with Chris Wray too, this is why you are damaging the institution. The American people have a right to know.
All right, so he's just not going to get into this with Senator Ted Cruz, right? It's like he can't answer a yes or no question. He refuses to say yes or no. It's yes or no. I mean, do you have the information or not? Is this a credible human source or not? It's
very simple questions.
Very simple questions, but he knows that if he says yes, right, which is true, yes, if he says any of that stuff, well, not only is he fired, but they're all screwed,
yeah,
right, including Biden.
All their effort goes down the drain.
Yeah, and it's just that in it of itself is, to be honest, an admission of guilt. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, technically speaking, in the court of law, I don't think it would be, but it could be perceived as an admission of guilt to, for instance, the jury.
Yeah.
So, all in all, look, everybody, if you make it this far in the video, thank you so much for staying with us, and especially in this video that's a little bit more heavy, I should say. And obviously, we probably could have done a lot better articulating a lot of this stuff, but the fact is that there's a lot of shit involved in this issue. Okay, we can't cover it all in one video, and we're not going to spend probably more than one video on this unless more stuff comes to light here in the near future. But it's important for everybody to know that we are living in a corrupt... the time that we're living in right now is filled with corruption at the highest levels of the federal government. And the only way to make sure that we root that out is to put people in office through our vote, because they listen to us. They respond to us. We are the ones that give them a job. We're the ones that put them there in the first place. So it's important for us to take back the power, to take back our power, and to make sure that people we put in office will do what we want and what's in the best interest of the American people and the U.S. Constitution. And part of that means to gut the FBI, gut the DOJ, get rid of the people who are currently in the directors and people who are at the highest levels and those who knew about all this illegal investigating of political candidates and pushing forth lies about all this shit. We need to make sure that we put people in power who are willing to make a difference and make a change in our bureaucratic institutions, and we need to hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. We need to make sure that we hold them accountable, because right now they're not, and they're getting away with a lot of stuff, and all because we are not opening our eyes and because we are listening to the wrong people.
Not doing our own due diligence of just looking it up for yourself.
Yeah. Just do the research yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Just get a little bit of information here and there and inform yourself. because they're lying to you and they think they can use your ignorance against you for their own political gain.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's working. Yep. But I think we're about to turn the tide. I think we're about to see a big difference in how this country runs going forward and who's involved in the process of that. So we'll see how things play out. Only time will tell. Do I think we're all in danger of losing our lives and losing the America we know forever? No. As Dan Bongino says, I'm long on the United States, and I believe that we will, that the good and just will come out on top.
We're not going to lose our nation, I'll tell you that.
I think we're fine, but we need to be aware of the light. We need to be aware of the truth and make sure that we hold these people accountable. Otherwise, we won't be fine.
Yep.
We can't keep going.
It's up to
about
us.
Things the way we've been going. So, anyways, we're gonna go ahead and end it there. Sorry for the kind of heavy-handed nature of this, but we just thought this was an important topic to cover. So. If you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and share this with all your friends and your family.
Share.
And comment below what you think and what you think we could have done better, because we know there's certainly things we could have done better. And if you agree or disagree with our analysis. So, anyways, that is it for us today, people. Thanks for tuning in again. Lone Wolf, any last comments? Sorry if I talk too much.
Yeah, Kyle's a talker. I'm not a talker. So, nothing much to say other than just get out there, support America.
Make your vote count.
Yeah, make your vote count.
And be an informed voter. It's extremely important.
Inform yourself. Important. Very important.
Yeah. All right. That is it for us today. And we will see you next week. So, thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Until next time.